This podcast may contain themes that are not appropriate for younger ears. Sorry, kids. Listener discretion advised.
Previously on the Going There podcast.
We're unpacking our everyday problems that I think all Americans are experiencing right now.
Nearing the 2020 election, amid the pandemic and social unrest,
it's the never-ending battle.
Matt and his team of rebels dared to speak out.
There's just a lot of discord, and it's important to bridge the gap.
In Season 1, Bridging the Gap.
Beyond race, gender, and all that, there's how a person is at their heart.
Then, in the aftermath of COVID-19.
What am I scared about? Everything. Climate change, the healthcare system in America.
As divisions deepen.
24/7 news, like everything is happening.
And connections became harder to form.
Communication is so divisive.
Matt returned.
The media has let us believe if you're not in my camp, you're my enemy.
Yes.
Not to preach, but to question, to listen.
How do I nurture myself in this weird space of existential angst?
He explored how empathy could outlast the chambers of echo. In Season 2, A New Hope.
I am leaving here more hopeful, and I have learned some things from all of you.
And now, the journey continues as curiosity leads the way and compassion fuels the mission. Matt and his crew press forward, searching for understanding, truth, and the threads that unite. The conversation strives for even greater depths in The Return of the Resistance.
Backed by popular demand and hyper-focused ADHD, this is the Season 3 premiere of the award-winning podcast, Going There. Taboo topics are back on the table.
Well, hey there, strangers. It's been a while. Welcome to Season 3 of the Going There podcast. Look at this beautiful new set and two beautiful faces sharing the table with me. So first, I'm going to start by introducing our panel for this episode, starting off with one of the season's co-producers, Kayleigh.
Hi, I'm Kayleigh. I am very excited to be a part of the show as a previous fan, and now to get a chance to be a part of the magic of making it happen.
And returning from several Season 2 episodes, a fan favorite, somebody who gives a shit, Dr. Y.
Hi, I am Dr. Jen Yensel. I am the co-owner of the Cole Center, private practice mental health, and I am full-time faculty at Youngstown State University in the Psychological Sciences and Counseling Department.
Well, thank you both for being here. This episode almost never happened 1,000 times and almost totally happened 1,000 times. And that's kind of part of what I want to talk about today. So let's just kind of do a recap of like what's life been like for the world, but for you guys individually for the last couple of years, because since Season 2 ended, obviously I shared on the season episode that you were on with your husband about divorce. Like I was going through a divorce. Life has just been tumultuous. The world is on fire. Life's been crazy. And there's always been this, I need to do something. The podcast is my way of like doing something, putting information out there, putting good out there, collaborating with individuals. But then there's also like the exhaustion of just being a human. We're finally out of the woods with the COVID stuff. I think we finally all agree and realize that there is no going back. There is no normal that we're ever going to relive. So what's the last few years been like for you guys?
I mean, professionally, my business is growing, thankfully. And thankfully there's not, it's like, it's great that there's a need. It's like, oh, it's a catch-22. Like, I want to be like, I'm glad you all need therapy.
Yeah. Your business is growing for the very reasons we're here having this episode. Yep.
Yeah. But I'm grateful that we can provide hopefully really great support. And then I became full-time faculty, which is great, using my PhD. My oldest son is almost an adult. So I have 2 adult children.
Yeah.
I'm still married. It's been 27 years a couple weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, you guys are like 2 little kids together. It's kind of nice.
We tried to be functioning adults, but
I meant that in a compliment, not like you guys are like can't find your way out of your own house kind of a thing.
Yeah. I feel like life sometimes is just a blur. Like because my kids are, to me, they're still young. It's just there's always so much and just keeping up with them. And I'm really grateful for that. And their sports and their activities. And it's just so, I don't know, important to be there for them. Because I want to. I'm interested. I don't really care about lacrosse, but like I am the number one fan of lacrosse, right? I travel the country for this stupid sport. So I spend a lot of time doing that.
But you can relate because you have a 4-year-old and unlike her children, they need constant attention.
Yeah. So that's been interesting, navigating the last couple of years with a toddler in tow, still technically a toddler, and doing it as a single parent over the last couple of years too has been interesting. But that's one of those things where you sometimes feel caught in the catch-22, I guess, of wanting to be there, but also wanting to make sure that you have the grounding to support them financially and provide that stability too, because there is none anywhere else. And I've of the blessed perspective right now where he doesn't understand a lot about how devastatingly soul-crushing the world can feel at times. For him, everything is possible. For him, everything is magic. For him, everything is wonderful. And he doesn't understand my stress. And I do my best to not show that to the best of my ability. It's not always easy, but being more mindful about my own responses and how I'm taking care of myself so I can better take care of him. So it's fun. It's fun.
Should we all drink some booze? I'm kidding. I wish it was booze. Well, a lot of the things I want to share today, this isn't for pure catharsis. I'm not just trying to vent and get free therapy from my friend here. It's because I cannot imagine that I'm the only person feeling some of these feelings. You guys are here to bring any ideas, thoughts, questions to the table as well. But I kind of feel like, since this is the beginning of the next season, it's always important for me to reflect on where we've been before we fully figure out where it is that we're going to go. And so, the first 2 seasons, the experience of doing the podcast is overwhelmingly wonderful and positive. But there's still, like, in any kind of passion project, any of those negative things that happen are that much more obvious. And I don't look at it as though it taints the experience, but it definitely, like, there's some heartache. There's fallout of friendships and people, not because of the podcast, just happening around the podcast, going through a divorce. So, like, when I look back at the podcast episodes of yesteryear, it's like, it's not all just like flowers and roses. There's some heartache. I mean, when I re-listened to or rewatched the divorce episode that you were on, like, it's not that the episode makes me feel away. It's I remember the state of mind and, like, just complete heartache and awful depression that I was fighting off in that moment. That was like one of the hardest ones for me to get through. Not because it was hard to talk about it, but because I'm like, oh, I have to, like, be a human. I didn't feel like humaning.
As opposed to what? Like barking at
When
it?
I'm on the show, I have to perform a little bit.
Which isn't human.
No, that's human. Okay. Let's just move past that.
Okay. I'm going to write that down.
Okay. I think for me, the biggest takeaways in the first 2 seasons, especially, and maybe, because of the podcast, but also just because of life, there's been a lot of personal growth. And that is what constantly, nudges me to want to keep doing this, because having these conversations, regardless if there's cameras or microphones, is what makes me want to keep doing these things, to keep being a supposed human. But I think with this came an issue that became more obvious is, and I'm curious to know if you guys have experienced these thoughts and or if you ever hear clients talk about this stuff. And I think it's like the fairy tale of religion, or even non-religious, like karma. The more good you put in, the more good you get out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do things for the reward. To me, that is the part about religion I really don't like. It's like, well, I'll give you a candy bar if you say 5 Hail Marys kind of a thing.
They do that at church now?
I wish. I would have actually...
would have stuck
With my
it.
addiction to sugar and candy, you might have the most religious person on your hands with me.
Yeah.
The notion that if I do good and continue to do good, people will treat me that way. And I've almost noticed an opposite effect in my personal life and my personal experience, which is despite how well I might treat others and despite how I might hold myself and despite trying to act with integrity, I feel like in some ways that has created more conflict in some situations. Am I alone in experiencing that?
You mentioned something. One time we were talking about how people who lead with empathy and people who have a higher IQ tend to sometimes feel the divide in some of the challenges that we're facing here a little bit more. And that's something that I think really makes me curious about how you're kind of responding to that as someone who I've had the opportunity to learn as like a very empathetic person and someone that really looks at things of the objective. Like, do you feel like that's a part of the juxtaposition of what you're experiencing in life and everything else that you've been fighting for to show up as?
That's a great question. And it is my theory that the people with an IQ and an EQ right now are the ones suffering the most. You know, if you're just empathetic, that might not be enough to make you miserable because maybe you can't quite understand what's going on. You can feel other people's pain, but when you see what's happening and on a global scale, you are daily being gaslit into going that I'm not doing that. Like, you are literally holding the gun, sir, and shooting me. And no, I'm not. No, you're shooting yourself. Stop shooting yourself. But then you also care about the other people you watch being victim to some of these atrocities. It's really difficult. And the people who I think are the most genuinely authentic and kind humans and good people, and who are also smart, or at least they enter situations on a daily basis with curiosity, wanting to learn, I think are the ones who are like constantly struggling. Even some of the people I talked about, hey, we're going to do season 3. There's this like two-sided coin of like, that's awesome. But also, I don't know, we'll have to see if I have the energy to like do it. And it's not because they don't want to. And I don't see it as them being flaky or trying to get out. It's like, I have to be a human.
We're gonna go back
you're
to
making all
human.
kinds of notes about my human. Okay, so just to let you know, I am actually human. I know
Sure,
I
you're not
joke about it.
AI.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Muppet.
I am a Muppet. I am made out
Muppet,
of cloth
man.
and some old socks and stuff. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I still have that underlined. But the idea of like do good and good things happen, like I think how good are you doing if you're looking for someone else to treat you differently? Like if you're really doing good and like trying to do good things, then you're happy because you're doing it. And we don't know how other people respond to kindness or threat or anything. And so if we have this expectation that we're going to do good and people are going to like embrace us and be like, that's so smart, that's so great, you're the best. Like that completely defeats the purpose, I think, of us being good.
Sure.
So like, is there psychological evidence that like practicing gratitude, like, yes, we're happier if we're looking for certain things. If you wake up and you're like, I'm going to look for all the shit that's happened today, guess what? You're going to feel like shit because you're going to be like, I tallied all the bad things that happened to me. Like whatever you think, like that's how you behave. So if you're trying to do good and like practicing good, then yes, things tend to be better. But the idea that it impacts other people's behavior, that we have no control over that. So I just caution of doing that.
Well, sure. And like I said, none of it was like, I don't see myself as somebody who goes out and does good.
What do you mean you don't go out and do good? Like you just like trip babies when you're like, what do you do?
I didn't say I go out and do evil.
What would it mean to be do good though?
What I'm trying to say is I see myself as somebody who just tries to live as like a good person, but like I don't do acts of good with the intention of like a reward. Like you said, it's the intrinsic reward of just like I'm happier because I put good out there.
The integrity of who I am as a person is enough of a reward.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to try to be a good person. That's doing good. That's
Ripple
intentional.
Yeah,
effects.
but
We talk about that all
I guess
the
I'm
time.
saying it like I don't go out there and try to do feats of good. Like I'm going to go out there and give a kidney to somebody.
I think with the world we have today, the idea that someone's just trying to be a good person or like living with integrity or empathy,
Yeah.
like if everybody was going out in the world trying to do that, like, wow, maybe like that would be awesome and we'd find a kidney. Like,
Yeah.
but also like we can't undermine that. Like it's not good enough. Like we
Sure.
could use everybody doing that.
I'm not still under that impression that I was wrong and the world was wrong, although the world is very wrong about a lot of things. But I had to learn some hard lessons. And I think part of it was the more I've tried to better myself for the sake of bettering myself, the more it becomes apparent when other people don't treat me the way that I treat them or want to be treated. And that just sucks. I guess that just sucks. But I always look back at situations and go, what did I do to feed into this? Not meaning what did I do to deserve this, but am I expecting too much out of people?
I have a question because I think that this is a really important topic too when it comes to our own conscious responses when we do encounter somebody that is not giving us that same level of care back that we give to them. And I just kind of question because you and I have talked so much about the people in our lives and some relationships kind of falling away. What if it was reframed that maybe this person wasn't really meant to be there and they're kind of stripping themselves out so you can go out and find your humans, find your other people that you connect with instead?
I think that's what happens. Well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you. You guys. No, I mean, that's what happens naturally. And it took me, it's a continuing education.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you have to kind of realize you're at because it took me to be objective, to stand back and go, regardless of the situation, I wouldn't act like this. And so for me to still try to put this person in a mold that they never were trying to fit in, that I wanted to believe that people are that way. And I'm not even talking about a specific person or a singular event. There's been lots and lots of like growth and learning. The biggest lesson I learned, a friend who's also been on the show before, I'm kind of saying, yeah, this is happening and she's like, can I make a recommendation? You won't be offended? I was like, of course. I was like, that's why I called you. Like, because you're my friend, but also like, you're very smart about this stuff. This is going on. They said, I want you to read the book Codependent No More. And while codependency is more often than not linked with like alcoholism and drug use and things like that, where the other person is the dependent, you're codependent with them through their problems. I mean, I think a lot of us, it's a spectrum, right? Like codependency. Would you say there's a lot of people who are...
I mean, so it's not like it's not a diagnosis.
Yeah.
And I think there's levels of codependency that are toxic. And then also you'd expect people who are married for a really long time to be dependent on each other at the same time.
Sure.
And so it's like, I think there's people who pull away from any kind of dependence. People are immediately try to be codependent on somebody, and then a level of like working on our strengths, right? As a codependency.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think it's important.
When I say codependence, I don't mean like you're dependent on nobody, but like
people do.
What we're talking about is toxic codependence,
sure,
which is that idea of I can't exist without this thing, or one of the signs of a codependent is somebody who deep down loves this other person's problems because then they get to go in and get this feeling of superiority by fixing it and being the savior, but also being the victim to this situation. So there's all of these things that, I don't know, and the book was great. It's not that every little piece of it spoke to me because this woman wrote it from a standpoint of her husband was an alcoholic and she kept going into relationships with alcoholics. That's not my issue, but for lots of reasons that I'm sure my therapist could break down for me, I just happened to be codependent.
Sure.
Like there's this notion of like, I need to be needed.
Mm.
And in doing so, like I build other people up to be something that I want them to be, that they never asked for me to judge them as. And that's where you do the reflection. Would you say I did that correctly?
I mean, there's not like a grading book for this. It sounds like
But
you're
if you were to
reflecting
grade
on it.
me,
I will not.
How big would the sticker be?
It'd be commensurate with your effort.
Thank you. It was the most diplomatic answer
you.
you could muster up.
What did you learn about yourself that you were surprised about before you read the book?
That's a really good question.
Thank
It's so nuanced. It's hard to explain. You know, for somebody who's very self-aware, there was this huge blind spot. That's what I learned about myself is I go into relationships, and I'm not saying romantic. I'm saying all relationships, friends, colleagues, everything, with this level of expectation. Because I'm like, this is how I do things. I bring this to the table. And when people would show me little hints of like, oh yeah, I can do this too, then suddenly I'm like, all right, this person's going to do this. But really, I wasn't paying attention to the people they were showing me they actually were.
Mm-hmm.
So it was my giant blind spot. And then I get really hurt and I'm like, why are people such assholes to me when I'm like good to them?
Mm-hmm.
And the real answer is because they were just assholes.
Sure.
But like, Matt, you set the table and made this whole dynamic out of your own desire of community. And my desire is a good thing. It's a healthy thing. I want camaraderie. I want friends. I want family. I want congregation. But I was not at all discerning or selective with who I allowed into that space. It's like, oh, you smiled at me? You must be nice.
Yeah.
Have a seat.
Yeah.
So is my sticker like medium, big?
What's important about validation for you? I feel like you're going back into the codependency trap now, aren't you?
Wait,
like,
he recognizes that he has it. So he wants the sticker that he knows it now.
It's a journey.
And I tell people all the time, like, awareness is great, but what are we going to do about it? Which makes those are fun candidates for therapy, right? If like you are self-aware, but there's blind spots. We all have blind spots. And I think I'm more concerned about people who are like, I don't have any blind spots. They're like, oh, okay.
I've never talked to a therapist who's like, no, I mean, I'm a therapist because I figured it out. They're usually like, we're just as fucked up.
I'm in EMDR therapy right now.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
I would say for the last like 3 years that's been popping up left and right.
That's why I did it, because I was like, I'm talking about it, I'm learning about it, I'm teaching about it. And I was like, I just got to do it, you know? And then, of course, like you find blind spots because you're like, I've been in therapy forever. I know this. I've taken every psychological test.
Doesn't matter.
And then you're like, oh, shit.
You know why?
Which is cool. I love it.
Because you can master therapy and like self-awareness and actualization in a vacuum.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we live in a world where it's like ever changing and the rules change on a daily basis. And then you wake up and you have this nervous system that makes you upset or angry or happy or whatever. What's your blind spot? What's one of your blind spots?
I'm trying to think of like, what would my therapist say?
Here, do you want to get
phone friend?
So Jen.
No, she does not talk to me like that.
When your parents were yelling at you.
Oh God. Well, they didn't. I mean, I was. I think that's probably part of it. I prefer conflict than when people are quiet.
Same.
Yeah, like I'd rather honestly I'd rather
fight it out.
Like fight it out and be done rather than I can't stand passive aggressiveness.
Tension.
No.
Quiet tension, especially. No. There's a long list of horrible things I'd rather do than sit in that.
No, absolutely. And I emotionally monitor everybody in my house because I love them so much. Oh my God, I love them so much.
So do you catch yourself doing it and going, fuck, I gotta stop that?
I am learning to, if they're like, we're fine. And I'm like, I don't think that everything's fine. You seem short with me. Like that.
We're definitely related. I know I've said this in every episode you've been in.
Yeah.
You and I are so similar.
I'm catching the parallels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I still have those feelings, like, because when I love somebody, like I love them, and I want to think about them all the time. Like, I mean, I just will do literally anything for them.
Because their happiness makes you happy.
Yeah, it's just, and it doesn't have anything to do with me. But when they come home, if someone comes home, or anybody, my kids, my husband, and they're like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Oh, no, what's wrong?"
So let me ask you this:
Yeah.
Do you, on a even subconscious level, feel that it's your job to maintain and manage their emotions?
I didn't realize that until EMDR, and I was like, son of a bitch. Because but you think about like this a lot of times, and I'm not trying to like intellectualize my experience. I'm trying to like educate it on everybody. But like the things that we do, they were once helpful. And so like growing up, like for me to do those things and to monitor people to see how I should respond made things safe. But that doesn't stop because it works, and it did work, and it still does. It works, right? Is it the best option? No. But because it becomes exhausting, and then you're always like on edge rather than just trusting somebody. Like, you love these people. Do you trust them? Yeah. So if they say we're good, like maybe you take it at face value. You're like, oh, and they're not going to be mad at me because I didn't dig. You're like, okay, so you breaking it down and all those things.
They usually get pissed when you keep digging. They're like, I'm fine, but if you ask me again, I'm going to start getting pissed off, right?
Yeah, especially teenagers.
That comment from people of all ages has been said to me about 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Just in the last month.
Yeah. But it's great because then my husband's like, I'm tired. He's like, just so you know, I'm tired because I'm tired and I did not sleep well. It has nothing to do about my feelings towards you. And I was like, oh,
but see,
thank you.
And that is what I try to tell people. I'm like, this part of me at this point in my life is not going to change.
Yeah.
It will be there. It doesn't mean I have to act on it, but you could also help me not obsess by communicating, just letting you know, tonight I'm tired. I don't want to get into anything. Not about you.
But would you listen though?
I think it depends on how the who and the how. Sure. What's your blind spot?
Oh, I've got so many.
Name one of your blind. She's actually blind and deaf and mute.
All of it. I'm just.
She is the Helen Keller of emotional intelligence. I'm sorry.
No, I'm really trying. So again, same thing, painfully self-aware, and I internalize everything. I don't want to be asked what's going on because I don't want to articulate anything that could be misconstrued. And I want to be very clear about my feelings so I don't hurt someone else. And when I am under stress, and we all have our own responses under stress, when I am stressed, I want to process it fully. So I'm like, okay, am I just hungry? Like, do I need a snack? Do I need a nap? Like, do I just need to like go for a walk and get lost in the woods for a while? Like, is it something like that? Are my needs met, or am I just annoyed? Like, where am I in my cycle? Like, cause that I am a different human multiple times a month. So, and I recognize that a little bit, but at the same point I shut down, like complete ketosis. Like I am not, I'm not able to respond well. Like I am one person on my normal baseline. When there is any sort of stress, and it doesn't matter what it is, I am down low. And so working out to figure out what's going on, what's in my control. Am I really annoyed at this other person? Or is there something else going on? What lens am I seeing things through?
So what's the blind spot? Because it sounds like
analytical. I am hyper analytical.
That's not so much of a blind spot.
It is because I don't recognize how it impacts other people.
Okay,
I'm
there
so
you go. There's the blind spot.
self-focused in my own shit.
So you're a narcissist.
I don't know.
I'm just
Maybe.
joking.
Maybe.
I purposely use that word because that, I'm sure in your line of work, is so annoying. That term, which I feel like hardly the average person ever used in the last like 10 years. Everyone uses it and for everything. Sure. Like somebody will honk their horn at you. That narcissist. It's like, it's been misappropriated by
But I get
the
though
public.
what you're sharing though about like what you were going through, like trying to monitor emotions. I don't want to be the cause of anyone else's emotional response. So like I have monitored, I've gone through that, but I don't want to like be that thing that spurs someone else. So let me figure out what's going on here so I can show up in a better aspect to participate in a conversation. Like I don't want to make conflict worse, and I have a tendency to snap. And I have a tendency to like not be clear with my words. I am zero articulation whatsoever. I make words up.
But that's called being angry or being stressed. I mean,
well, it's just anxiety. Like I don't want to say something that's going to trigger someone else. So let me see where I'm at before I involve another human. I do well in a vacuum. I thrive.
So you don't want to be misunderstood.
Oh my God.
And then when you share emotions, you don't want to, you're assuming that it might be negative rather than someone's going to be positive.
Yeah.
Rather than maybe if I say something the wrong way and someone reacts negatively, maybe they're just a dick.
Yeah, no, that doesn't exist. It's my fault. Like, so how can I, how can I, but sometimes I am just annoyed.
Yeah.
I get inflamed and
Yeah.
I also don't want to have conversations or fights when I'm not in a clear frame of mind to even understand what the other person's saying, because I am not hearing the words that you're saying. I am hearing the story that I have ruminating in my mind. I like a discourse. I like calm, collected.
So, of course, I don't want you to like clinically make assessments, but just in general,
Sure.
If somebody's like, I don't like what she just said, would you say that's completely healthy? Or would you say there's times where it's like, no, there's times where you should just fight it out regardless of where you're at?
What's healthy, what's not, like that's so there's not like
It's contextual.
Yeah, it's very contextual. Like everyone's coping skills are different. What works for you? I would be curious of like, is there like some little version of you that's saying that you need to do that? Like there's different, like there's parts of us, right?
IFS. Oh.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's like,
for sure.
who's the like little girl saying like, don't disrupt
IFS?
things?
What's this?
Internal family systems.
Oh, I thought it was
It's-
imaginary friends.
Oh, well.
Sure, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Taking a shower or wanting distance or having certain boundaries, like that's not necessarily unhealthy. It's how are things serving you and how are they not? And it's being able to know what those are. And like if we were like best friends and we just met, so we're not best friends yet. But
I don't know.
day is young.
Episode 3, best friends forever.
That like I might be negatively impacted by what you say, but it might not have anything to do with you because of my own trigger. And like so like the pressure that you would put to monitor me is something that I would feel uncomfortable with. Right. So like what's healthy for you might be unhealthy for me. And that would be something that like in a secure relationship, we'd be able to be like, hey, I noticed you do this and I do this. Like, how can we come to
you have somebody who's monitoring emotions and you have somebody who's like, don't monitor my emotions. I'm monitoring them myself.
Right.
You have to find a compromise there.
Right. But I think you would learn that you can say things to me and I'm going to respond. I would ask like, how do you want me to respond so that it feels safe? And then over time, me consistently responding in a way that was safe, you might be able to be like, listen to this bullshit. And I'd be like, and then you would know, oh, well, she isn't reacting negatively to me. She's just holding space for me.
I was just going to say, we all need that training. Like that should be taught in schools, like how to manage.
That's something
Went
that
to college
I tried.
for 18 years to learn how to do that.
Please, where were those foundations?
It's having that awareness in the moment and doing it. When somebody comes to you with high emotions, it's like, do you want my advice? Do you want me to like just listen and you vent? And I've also been guilty. We had a conversation not that long ago, and she was like, what do you need? And I was like, I want you to give me your objective opinion. And then she gave it to me. I'm like, I was wrong. I did not want your objective opinion. And I, in the moment, was like, I'm not upset. Like, you did this is on me. I think I just wanted you to, sometimes you want validation and reaffirming. Yeah. Even in a healthy, non-codependent way.
100%. I tend to be a little more spicy in my responses. My husband's very calm. Where the fact that he looks just angry all the time, but he's just so calm and relaxed.
He was a much more cuddly teddy bear than I would have thought, just based on how he looked.
Right? He doesn't match. He looks kind of like a jerk in
mean,
Vineyard Vines.
I wouldn't say
but he does. He wears like, the glasses and the Vineyard Vines. And
how dare he wear glasses? Who is this bespeckled asshole?
Yeah, but he's got this like vibe about him, but he's actually just like the nicest human being I've ever met in my life.
So soft-spoken and
so
very
soft-spoken.
kind. Yeah.
And I'm like, listen to this bullshit. And he'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, no.
Match me, match me.
No, we're going to play a game and you're more pissed than I am, so I can let it down. And he'll be like, yeah, this is bullshit. And you can totally tell he's acting. But it means so much to me that he can like pretend to like get upset about it because then I feel less crazy. And that's
I
taken us
think I need to
25
do-
years.
I'm
to
taking
do.
notes over here. Like that's what I need to do because I do
Yeah.
that same thing with conversations too. Like I really struggle getting myself into the box because I've tried so hard not to get into the
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some people need that and some people
Yeah.
don't. And it's not your job to monitor
Mhm.
people. We have to hold people accountable for asking what they want, telling us what they need, and then letting us get permission if we're willing to do that.
And sometimes you're just not the right person for a certain, it's like I have people who I call if I want that affirmation. I have
Yeah.
people who I call if I want advice. I'm not saying that you can't be multiple things, but
Mm-mm.
I realized because the same week I shared something with Kayleigh, I shared it with like 3 other people, and it was like all different kind of handlings of it.
Yeah.
And my favorite was the one that was how I felt. I was like, I just needed somebody to just be like, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Like sometimes you need that. And I
Sure.
think this leads us right into the next thing I want to say is I mean, one, I think it's really important that people talk about this stuff and
Mhm.
talk like this
Yeah.
in the sense of like, this is all about becoming a better human or at least becoming a kind of person who's not going to do harm to other people.
Mhm.
And we're living in a new era of humanity.
Mhm.
The disparity between like those kind of evolving and working on themselves and saying, oh, I have these blind spots, and those like, fuck you. What I don't care. Just stay out of my way. Like that's becoming a larger gap, I think.
Mm.
And it's scary. And that type of gaslighting on an existential level, in my opinion, is not only adding to the divide and making the people who are trying the hardest suffer the most,
Mm.
but it's playing into some of the things I talked about with my own problems of like, sometimes the validation or affirmation I'm looking for isn't agree with everything I say. Is like, we can agree the sky's blue, right? Because this guy's over here telling me it's not, it's pink.
Mhm.
I'm losing my mind. Am I the only sane one in the asylum?
Yeah.
So how has life been for you guys in that manner? I mean, you work with lots of people from around all corners of
I do.
things.
Yeah. I have clients who are coming in about one side and another side and different religions and whatnot. And I've really learned how I define myself and then also how I hold space for everybody. And I've seen a lot of, I am able to hold compassion for people. And that also includes that I can't label and I have to mislabel me with everything to dissect of like, what do people believe? And that makes it a lot easier for me.
Not that you've been around for hundreds of years, but the specific nature of the world, like historians, everybody said, like, this is a totally different thing.
Mm-hmm.
But just because it's different doesn't mean it's good or bad or
Sure.
anything else. But would you say that from like an emotional, cognitive standpoint, that you're seeing something different nowadays? Are you seeing people shutting off, or is it really the illusion of the reality that they're kind of changing?
I mean, obviously, like the population that I see are going to be my grad students who are going into this field, and then my clients who are people seeking therapy, and then the clinicians and my friends. Like, so I'm only getting a small section
Sure.
of population.
But you're
I'm
also a
seeing-
human who lives in the world, right?
I try to be human. I'd like to be a muppet.
Doesn't take much work.
But I think I've seen more people come and need to talk about not necessarily politics, but society and their identity and what that means for them and their values and managing stress from just nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
I've also seen this where people get into these groups and let's say we can call them political groups or religious groups. And I think sometimes when there's so much, not say hostility, but like negative opinions about other sides.
So hostility?
Sure. Mhm. But like even just negative opinions.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, I see people not wanting to break outside of that, even if when you're breaking down what they actually believe, they're too scared to lose their family because
Yeah.
of these things. So I see so much at stake with religious, political, social, cultural, like all of these beliefs and values more so than I ever have. And I mean, I've been practicing for 20 some years.
The sense of like wanting to belong has been around forever.
It's
I mean,
tribal. Like that's a part of like our
yeah.
DNA.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
survival skill.
Yes. And so it's like I see people, because I think on some level it's dangerous to think outside of that box, or else you aren't included in their family. Right?
But in doing so, you're turning off a part of your brain that is also built in there.
Oh, yeah.
And again, maybe it's always been like this.
But
And maybe we're
also,
just seeing it from one dynamic.
are we welcoming those people that have curiosities to step outside? Do they have a safe space to
who's
exit?
we?
Like anybody else? Like, are we as
No.
the people that are attempting to be integral humans in this very divided space? Are we providing them a safe space to even ask questions? So that's part of it is on.
Oh, it's
on
there
all of
is
us.
no one group that I'm
No.
referring to, because
No.
here's a great example. So you have somebody who voted for Trump. People know I'm not a Trump supporter. Somebody who voted for Trump and then their business was shut down because of inflation and tariffs and things like this. And then the people who I might politically agree with are on social media like, oh, they're eating our faces. Like, I'm like, where is this sense of superiority that you're coming from? Because you have somebody who's hurting. So as somebody who might claim, at least with their social media image, that I'm an empathetic, more caring person. I care about other people. That's why I vote this way. But then they do something like that. I'm like, this is just my team's better than yours.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah, but it's tribal. It's the fuck around and find out culture, which is horrible, because I'm like, if you fucked around and found out and you're hurting, that makes us more bonded than anything.
Right. And there's a lot of bonding on different sides. And I think it's also a place of privilege to go, well, if I don't agree with them, I can just distance myself if it's your inner tribe.
Right.
Right. And so like, where do you go? How do you afford that? You know, the financial situation isn't great either right now. So I think it's like, it's weighted. And I think we just see things maybe on a superficial level, but it's so easy to see something that you don't agree with and be like, what a dick.
Yeah.
And I think we deserve.
Swipe left.
What does that mean?
Aw. You've been in a long-term relationship. That's like on Tinder. If you don't like somebody, you swipe. We're in a swiping culture, but across the board with everything.
Write them off.
I've never dated.
I love that for you.
Thank you.
I truly do. Honestly, that brings me joy
But
to hear.
I'll be honest, I do look all the time.
Window shop. That's normal.
I window shop, and I was
Biologic.
like, I definitely got the best. Like, I still choose him. Like, it's not like I see what's out there.
No, you guys talked about that in the episode, and I thought that was one of the most beautiful sentiments, because you're like, there is no guarantee. I might wake up tomorrow and things might be different, and my life could change. But every day, you guys make the intentional choice of each other.
Yeah, go look.
But that's
good luck.
But not wrong.
No.
That's what the swipe left thing is for.
Yeah.
But like, that is how we should look at everything. That you have people miserable in their jobs, and of course, saying this also from a place of privilege. But like, then change it.
Yeah. But again, that's still a place of privilege.
Well, I mean, in anything, like,
yes,
if things suck, but especially in your relationship. If it sucks, don't be in it. Well, you know those people. Okay, so I've talked about this before. That is my biggest pet peeve.
What is?
It's somebody who complains about something but does nothing to change it.
Oh, but it's serving them so well.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is.
I agree. I don't mean that sarcastically.
No, it is not serving them so well.
It's got to be doing something.
It is. There's like have you ever read Existential Kink?
No, but that sounds kinky.
So good. And it talks about like that subconscious part of ourself where we are legitimately getting off on some of the things that we hate in life. Like we can, a 20-some-year-old guy is like, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to graduate from school. I'm going to go and do these things. But he might have had a need that went unmet in childhood. And so he subconsciously does things. He doesn't consciously want them, loses his job so he can go back home to be taken care of by his parents that he wanted to leave so badly.
Okay.
It's like a weird
but I'm talking about
kink.
somebody who is essentially an energy vampire, who they always just want to complain to you. And we all know these people.
Sure.
And if you're listening and you're one of them, hey, more power to you. Just don't call me.
They can call me.
Please call Dr. Y. We'll put her number on the screen below. But you're saying it serves them, but like it really doesn't, because that is negativity that
It doesn't serve you.
I don't know that negativity serves anybody.
No.
We'll let the therapist take this.
It absolutely does.
Psychologist. I should
Well,
say.
okay, when we say serve, are we saying it serves them in a way of they're getting something they want? But like
Yes.
on the grand scale of your life, does that really serve
Well, we're
you?
not thinking that deeply here.
Okay.
We're saying like
In
it's
the moment.
Yes, it's getting
it's gratification.
100%.
Yes, it's gratification, but
Don't
it's
you want
serving-
that so badly? Didn't we talk about that for
Yeah.
a while? Like,
yeah, but like I don't want instant gratification.
You don't.
As a human, you don't want instant
No.
gratification.
No, as a human, you don't want instant gratification.
I'm saying what serves you is the evolution of a supposedly higher intelligent form.
Sure.
are we there?
I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, that was the point of the whole topic right there, is like, have we devolved?
That'd be cool to have tails again.
God
A little
damn.
wag thing.
I just want
Back.
to like swim around in a pond and like eat other smaller fish and just chill, you know?
Instead of we have credit reports and we
Yeah, all
have
this bullshit that's-
taxes.
The reason that I think we've devolved, it's not because these problems haven't existed before. It's because we've come so far and I don't want to say we know better. We have so much more information at our fingertips that we've almost become the people on the spacecraft in Wall-E, where we have forgotten how to take care of ourselves, but not so much from a physical sense, but like an all around like sense of well-being.
Mhm.
Not just being dumbed down because technology can do it for me, but we know that the media that we consume is given to us by the algorithm.
Mhm.
We know that when we say something online and our friends all agree with us and cheer us on, it's because we're in an echo chamber.
Mhm.
We know that this dichotomy,
We know.
they know.
No.
You think?
Yes.
I
think
love
there-
that so much for you.
I believe that people
do.
have shut off that part of their brain because they know that they're choosing, I can either be the best version of me
Yeah.
or I can fit into the tribe. And I'm going to just fit into the tribe
So I want to make sure I'm
because
hearing
change
you.
is scary.
So you believe people intentionally have these thoughts?
No.
Okay.
No. This
Okay.
is all
I was like,
subconscious.
wow.
This is all subconscious.
Okay.
But there's part of them that knows. You've been in a situation, I'm sure, both of you,
I've been in a situation.
or two, not a situationship.
No.
You've
bless
never dated.
you.
But
we have dated like in high school, but like
they didn't have situationships.
Situationships
Those
didn't
weren't
exist.
invented yet. No. You've both been in situations, I'm sure, where there's part of your brain that's trying to protect you from the trauma of realizing or unpacking something.
Mhm.
Like,
Sure.
imagine, I know this doesn't work for you, but for you, if you're in a bad relationship, there's some part of your brain that knows it's horrible, but the conscious part of your brain is doing all of its freaking work to try to stop you from thinking about it and analyzing it.
Because we talk about that all the time. The devil you know sometimes is.
That's what I'm saying. And so,
Yeah.
but I think humanity on a grand scale is doing this in my lifetime more than I've ever witnessed.
Well, we've also been isolated in self-subscribed boxes that we fit in, but we've also had them placed around us. So if you have someone that exists in there, it is scary out there. If you have a thought that goes against the grain, it is terrifying. People are losing their jobs for them. People are losing everything. Like it's terrifying.
I'm not saying there aren't reasons.
Yeah.
I'm saying I think
And if you're
that
in
there
an-
is a pattern.
And if you're in an echo chamber, you don't know other, especially if the algorithm is pigeonholing you in, and you think that you're getting the same message as the other side, and you're
Right.
not. You think that you have the same information, and you don't.
I mean, a prime example, and we won't go too deep into it, it was like the Charlie Kirk
Mhm.
situation.
Yeah.
I imagine you guys are similar to me, where your Facebook and Instagram friends and stuff are all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And the complete and utter bizarro world views on one person and one situation simultaneously, where like that to me was scary.
Yeah.
Not what happened. I mean, what happened was shitty and I have all kinds of thoughts on it. But I'm saying where one person is saying this thing and the polar opposite, and these people both screaming it at each other. And they both believe truly this is 100% the case and the situation as a whole.
There's danger in believing our thoughts, right? Just like how people are going to respond to our thoughts, or just that internal dialogue. That's super dangerous. And that if you have a thought that this person or this group of people are like this, or this person's thinking this, react on that without learning how to discern.
Yeah. Again, built from a survival skill with like prejudice on a very, very, very low level of like lizard brain kind of thing. It's like keeps me safe. That person might be scary. But like as a species that, again, I thought wrongly had evolved because my thoughts aren't correct. I go into the world knowing that the algorithm is feeding me exactly what it thinks that I need to know. If you have two friends and they have a rift in the friendship, and one friend calls you up and goes, this son of a bitch did this. I thought a logical person would be like, of course there's two sides to this.
Sure.
What did I pull away from this? This person's hurting. As a society, we're like, nope, you told me what I wanted to hear. Fuck everything else and fuck everybody else.
I think if we go to like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is like this triangle, and like the top is self-actualization, which I'm wondering if that's what you're calling this evolution, that we're not self-actualizing and be working on being the best people we can be.
We're not climbing the hierarchy the way that I believed we naturally wanted to.
So we know, like you said, safety, people's jobs are at risk, housing market, cost of things.
So they're living in the bottom two things.
We have been, people have to, right?
But they have been forever.
No, I mean, I think.
Oh, the dark ages, everyone was just actualized.
But I think like
shit.
COVID, right? We were all like, a lot of us were home, secure with our family, cooking, living. Like I did a lot of growth, like because the notion was if you go outside, germs are bad, but you're home and you have your house, you have your safety, you have your people, you have your job, you have all of those things. And so at least for me, I was able to grow in COVID because I had the privilege of having all of my needs met. But here it's like, are you going to lose your job? What's going to happen to the economy? What's going to happen to our licensure degree? Food prices? What the fuck? Like the grocery bills are so expensive. Like, so all of those things are rattling. And so when you're focusing on, oh my gosh, how much is gas? How much is cereal? $6 a box? Really? $6 a box? That changes our focus from being the best person we can be of like, how am I going to, do everything we need to get?
And I'm not, okay. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Obviously.
I'll challenge that with saying everything you just mentioned was the economy. And we've been through bad economies before.
The political climate can feel very threatening.
Okay.
People in Chicago, I mean, a dog just got shot, for God's sake. Like all these things that are happening. And like that I'm very protected in my little bubble, but there is threat of people going outside of their religion. There's people going outside of their political party because we're seeing people turn on each other. Like, and then
if you leave, no one's going to welcome you with open arms on the other side.
Correct. And so all these things, there's this outside of the economy. I was trying to get stay out of politics and the social cultural, but I mean, it's happening everywhere that people are afraid to go to school. People are afraid to go to work. People are afraid to, travel because they're afraid that they're going to get deported or something. They're going to get misgendered or, if they're trans or, I mean, there's all these possible persecutions. We can't actualize when we're worried about safety or safety of our loved ones.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah.
So where do we go from here? Because from where I'm sitting, and it's like this podcast, it's day to day, minute to minute.
Yeah.
There's been so many times where I'm like, we need to do another season. I got all these ideas. Yeah. And then later in that same breath, I'm like, never mind. None of it matters. Nothing matters. We're living in tumultuous times. My thought is where we go from here has nothing to do with the world, has everything to do with ourselves. Change the world by changing yourself and making some small impact. So where do we go from here as humans trying to be the best versions of ourselves? Not because we have to or it's what's expected of us, but because that's what actual like fulfillment looks like.
Yeah.
How do you become a fulfilled, self-actualized, evolved human?
She answers this question. Her practice. I mean, this is the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's multiple facets to this. One, I think it's important to know what hill to die on,
Yeah.
right?
And I've been very stupid about that in the past. I've died on all of the hills.
Yeah. And so it's important to
Anthills.
know like where, like even with like news and where you get information, we have to discern it like we get food. Like I don't just grab anything I see in the pantry at the grocery store. I have to discern and be intentional.
I'm going to take notes on that one. Don't eat slop.
I mean, you can, but like I feel like shit if I eat only Oreos for dinner. Like it's the gratification or whatever. But you have to discern it just like I discern what I watch. And I think it is obviously privileged to go, yeah, you have to work on yourself while also making sure that you have a place to live. Like, but it's also like, what is the purpose of having a place to live? What are we doing? Because even just if you're struggling at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy, you want to have a home and you want to have food, but why? Like, because I want to provide for my family. But what if you can't provide for your family? I have my family, right? And so really whittling down to what's important. And so even those basic things that we have to do or to make money, to provide, take care of ourselves, reminding ourselves of why we're doing it versus I have to. So some of those things, shifting our mentality can make a difference. I think it's helpful to know your values. And so again, knowing what hill to die on of like, what's my purpose so that we can live the life that we want to live. And it kind of can reduce some of the noise. Not that we shouldn't put our heads in the sand, but we should know what's important to us. What hill are we going to die on? And where am I going to put my energy? Because sometimes you just don't have the energy to give everything to.
And that's a really good point that I wanted us to touch on. And you just kind of nailed it there. It's really hard to exist in a world where there's so much happening and so many atrocities happening. There's a guilt that comes along with not doing or not caring enough about a certain cause. But the truth behind it is impossible for you to care about every horrible thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you suddenly become apathetic, but like how many charities can I give to today? How many, like at some point you are taking away from yourself and giving it to others. And it's like, you're now empty.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important to know where you want to navigate. One of my favorite like activities that I have clients do is okay, you're at your funeral. I know it's morbid, but everybody from your life. So
Sounds
people from
so relaxing.
Well, listen.
No,
but
I'm
if
saying
we
for
don't-
me,
if
the
we-
idea of laying in a coffin, I'm like,
Well, you might
fuck.
be cremated. I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
just
gonna
you're
get
at your
cremated.
funeral
Or
or
planet
watching
turned
from
into
down or
to
whatever.
a tree. You know, they
Yeah,
can
that's
like.
yeah,
Felt
absolutely.
that for sure.
I think you get a property tax credit.
Oh,
for it or
really?
something,
Yeah,
too.
if you're buried on your own property, it's like a tax credit. You can you're no longer paying property taxes as a cemetery.
Don't take this verbatim because we're
don't
just
know what I'm
talking
talking
shit.
about,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Okay, so you're at your funeral. However, you're not actually there, but you're like watching from this energy source soul. And everybody that you've met, friends,
Hell.
family, work, you're not there, so you're just kind of watching, laughing.
From hell, right?
So they only get to describe you in 3 words. And what do you want those to be? And it's once you know what those are, you have some grounding for how you're going to live tomorrow, because we don't get to make it to 70 and then all of a sudden change who we are. We don't have any control over how people see us, but we have the ability to control what choices we make so that we can leave that impression.
Okay, let me ask you this: do people struggle with those coming up with those 3 words?
Yes.
And then when they finally do,
Yeah.
again, just your opinion
Sure.
that
I
this
love
is
my
not
opinion.
this is not true data here, right?
Sure, of course. Yes.
Would you say that on average, people tailor the words to how they already live because it's just easier? Or do they come up with the words and then realize, oh shit, I'm not the person I want to be?
I think it's both. I see both. People who are living it, and I'll challenge them, be like, it's these 3 things. And I was like, are you doing them already? And they're like, yes. I was like, so where's the conflict? And they're like, oh, right. So it's like, maybe they have it, but they don't know how to act on it. Or if they're not acting on it, there's that lack of fulfillment or that discrepancy because they're not applying it. And I mean, I use it all the time where I'll walk in and be like, this is what's most important. Like, so it's okay if the kitchen isn't perfect when I walk in the house because I'm acting on what's important versus my gut of like, I need to relax today and my whole kitchen needs to be clean. But like, that's not the person I want to be. Yeah. Right. It's a way to ground. It's a way to be intentional. And then it also leaves space for other things in the world because you're still being the same person that you want to be.
This is just my opinion. I don't think that most humans today live the way they believe they want to live.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you mean?
Let's say I'm talking to Joe Blow and he says, at my funeral, someone's going to get up and say he was loyal, he had integrity, and he was kind to people, you know? And then it's like, are you any of those? And it's like, no. I don't think most people, I think most people have this idea of who they are in their head, but because of a lack of self-awareness, because of a lack of curiosity, and because they don't ask for feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say feedback, I mean, that could look like talk therapy, that could look like reading, that could look like any kind of learning. I don't think most people want to know who they are. They would rather buy into the photoshopped AI image of them on socials than see who they actually look like.
I mean, it's a great place for therapy. I mean, it's a great activity in therapy, all of this stuff. But there's your de-evolution, right? If we're not taking control over the life that we are, I'm grateful to have, you don't get just to construct it later on and be like,
I agree.
Yeah.
And so in some ways, that's why I think we devolved in the sense of the people who are on the lower part of Maslow's hierarchy, who are less self-actualized, are actually more self-actualized because they're like, I know who I am. I'm a survivor who is a provider. And that's what they do. And their values and their actions are perfectly aligned. Where these people who are like, I am a well-thought, well-spoken person who's putting good out in the world, but then like you tune into their channel and it's all like bashing other people.
Incongruent.
Yes. It's a bizarre thing because as humans, we are not this monolithic thing where we're like everything Jen does is good. Right?
Yeah,
like,
I do.
Like humanity has tried to organize all humans into a very simple filing system so that the internet can categorize it and feed it to you through an algorithm. When the fact is we are nuanced, bizarre, heavily layered creatures that you can find some really good and some horrible people and some really horrible things and some really good people. And when people find these things, it's like, oh my God, everything's, the world is upside down. Cats and dogs living together. And the world reacts to finding out that humans are humans. And then all it does, in my opinion, is it perpetuates that cycle of people living incongruent to the people that they believe themselves to be, but they sell it and they package it and they influence others with that kind of behavior and those actions.
Sounds like it'd be very threatening for those people.
No,
I love that you come to it with empathy. That's why you're at the table. No, seriously.
No, but it's
I'm
not.
sitting
but
here
it is
saying
empathy.
these people. No, it is.
Yeah, I do believe that.
I'm over here looking at it like a lab doctor about to dissect a frog.
Yeah.
Not with hate, just kind of like indifference to a degree of going, why is this way? Why is the frog's legs still kicking after he chopped it open? And you're like, that poor frog. That's why you make a good therapist. That's a compliment.
Thanks. I can't imagine feeling so threatened with my own thoughts and beliefs that I don't want to be introspective. Like that's a really uncomfortable place to be. And I know I've been there in my early 20s. Like that's uncomfortable. Like it leads to health issues, all these things that I feel that like this pull of like people that's threatening to be yourself and to really uncover that. And it's scary, right? You can go to therapy and you're like telling somebody all of this stuff, like, what, are you going to kick me in the face? Like, what's going to happen? Especially if other people have. Like, I have compassion that people don't feel safe with their own brain, with their own actions, with their own lives.
And you mentioned the word earlier, and I think that is what works for me.
What is?
Gratitude.
Oh.
When you become grateful about your life, your situation, your friendships, the people in your circles, gratitude and introspection breed compassion and empathy a lot. And it sounds silly because I remember when same friend who recommended that book one day, because I was like, how do you keep your sanity? And they're like, gratitude. I'm like, no, I know you're grateful for it. But like, really, when you focus on how good you have it, even if I'm just saying in the context of your life, if you focus on the good things and you're grateful for them, you stop looking at other people expecting more from them. You see, oh, that person's hurting.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And that's a great place to be.
Yeah.
But it's hard to be there.
I think it's like I'm great. Like, I am grateful that I have my home.
And I kicked this person in the face.
Yeah. But I have all this work to do because I want it to look a certain way, right? I can be grateful and also like I am grateful.
Yeah.
And
Again,
so it's like not that
monolithic.
denial. Right,
Yeah.
right. So I think to be human is to have a range of thoughts and feelings.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I want to try to weave through the thread of this season is for those who do want to be more, to evolve, to not be a part of the problem, to be a part of the solution. I want to bring in some of these topics. You and I talked offline. I would love to do some episodes on, I mean, you could do an entire episode or series of them just on values.
Mm-hmm.
These are the kinds of things. And then Kayleigh, I want you to talk for a minute. Kayleigh is woo-woo. Matt is just one singular woo. Like I dabble in the woo. You know, if it starts getting too much into astrology and stuff, I'm like tapping out. Not from a judgmental standpoint. I'm like, it just isn't resonating with me. With me, especially just over the last year, the reason that this podcast is doing another season is because there's things that just happen, all these synchronicities in life where I'm like, there is more to all of this than just what meets the eyes, right? I've never been the kind of person who wants to live in a world where there's no magic. And I mean, not the black arts necessarily, but like where there isn't this kind of mystical thing that you can't put your hands on, this intangible thing that is holding the whole idea of existence together. And I want to touch on some of that too, without going too deep into it this season. You know, I think dip a toe in, then we'll wade into the shallow end a little bit. But what are some of the things that over the last few years that you have looked into that you think that maybe there's a little bit of a bad reputation or stigma about that might have some truth to it?
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't speak to truth to literally anything. But
Well, from your perspective
from
only.
my perspective, I think like taking a step towards that, if we're really trying to search for that higher rung in the proverbial evolutionary ladder, like doing so with curiosity is the most important thing you can do. And not everything is for everybody else. Like there's certain things within astrology where I don't understand, so I can't speak to it. I cannot read my chart, but there are certain things that are like, you know what, this is something that's coming up, or there's certain programs. We talked about the pattern, I think, when we first met, and that resonated with me. Like, it was an introduction, a conversation with someone else, and like, hey, like, you seem like someone curious, you might want to look into this. And it aligned really well with me. Does it always? No, but there's certain things that help highlight a view outside of my own mind, which can sometimes be a very one-sided place. But also like diving deep into different areas of psychology. I think that you can't fully go to things from a logical perspective, but sometimes there is a spiritual component. So I've recently, I guess a couple of years ago, I started diving into conscious leadership or consciousness coaching and looking at things from what level are you seeing things from, and how can you have a more conscious response when you can't control somebody else's response. What can you determine about yourself or understand empathetically from their situation, and what's a healthier way to meet them at a slightly higher level to like bring them up? And can that help you? And not just necessarily leadership from a managerial perspective, but we're leaders in our own right across the board in different areas. So how can you do that more consciously? How can you do that and how you show up every day in your community or in your family? Or how can you challenge your friends in a healthy way when they're saying something that you know doesn't align with the values that they state that they have? Like, how can you healthfully challenge someone? And then from the spiritual perspective, I am a chronically curious individual when it comes to spirituality. I don't subscribe to one specific ideology because I think there's truth in all of it. And it's right now, like, I'm really interested in Kabbalah, just very curious about what that means. I didn't know anything about it. I know Madonna wore the red bracelet back in the early 2000s.
Catholics were in an uproar over that shit.
Oh, but at the same time, I'm a fan of a happy circumstance. Like, I am a fan of, if I am engaging in a conversation that elicits a curiosity or it sparks a little bit of joy, let me follow this conversation and see where it goes. And sometimes in those personal relationships, when you start having a conversation and you can elicit that joy from someone by asking them questions, they point you in a direction that might align with where you are now, or might be a stepping stone into something else deeper that you can dive into. So I'm like free-floating, wild, and curiosity. I don't think that it hurts to just open up an ear to something and explore it. So I have dabbled in quite a few.
Yeah. I think that's healthy, because a lot of, I grew up in very conservative evangelical circles where it's wrong, it's bad to even think about something. And I'm like, at no point in time did information kill anybody. When the Harry Potter movies started coming out, like Christians, more extremist Christians were in an uproar. And I'm like, have you read the books? Well, no, but I know it, and I'm like,
contains dark magic.
So does Lord of the Rings. Well, that was written by a Christian. Oh, so it was ordained by Jesus. So that book is okay. That's my point, is like, you're not going to hurt somebody by learning about something. You might accidentally become a better version of yourself by learning about other people in the world. But I think one of the things this season I want to talk through is some of the intangible stuff, some of the, even just beyond basic psychology and things that fit in right align and parallel to is like spirituality. And because there are things that you just cannot explain. Now, I'm not talking about the God of the gaps, that just because we don't have an answer for it doesn't mean there is not a scientific explanation. I'm saying something that I don't know if you can scientifically put into a formula and spell out. When the world is going to hell, that is the place that a lot of us look to for answers. Mm-hmm. Now, we might find it in a church. We might find it from a really unhealthy, person at a pulpit maybe. Or we might find it within ourselves that gives answers to things that are bigger than us, that makes us go, oh, this has to have some kind of truth to it because it's way bigger than me. And I did not just come to this on my own. How about this? Do you have something you want to share for the audience to take away from this conversation?
Well, I would love if everybody would think about how they want to be seen at their funeral. What 3 things that they want to be described as at their funeral.
I have to ask this.
Yes.
Have you done the exercise yourself?
I have.
And is it always the same answer or always different answers?
No, it differs, but at the end of the day, it really just comes down to my kids and how I want them to see me. And it's if I'm doing good by my kids, and I'm consistent, if I'm the same person that shows up for work as I am as a mom, as I am as a professor, then I'm fine. I'm good. like I'm living, but I have to be consistent. Where if like my kids saw my students met my kids or my client and they're like, your mom's great. And you're like, she's a bitch. Like I can't, I have one identity and I'm not mentally or physically capable of being different people. And so I have to be congruent. And part of being congruent is like picking my battles. What hill am I going to die on? And not only what hill am I going to die on, but what am I standing for? Yeah. And I can only stand for so much. And not that I have to think about death, but like I really do want to look at the big picture because I can easily pick the Oreos.
Yeah. Because it's easy to get lost in the chaos of life.
Always.
And be like, well, I'll be the person I want to be as soon as I can just get through this work week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I think that, and again, that comes with privilege to say that, but I think that is a huge part of the gap between the doers and the just survivors. Kayleigh, any last questions, thoughts, ideas? You are, both of you are going to help with more episodes as this season continues.
I think that it's really important to remember our connection to one another, that we can be all of those things in a vacuum, but sometimes the relationships that we have with one another hold a mirror up to us and show us where those opportunities for growth are and to not be afraid of those challenges. And again, I know that it does come with a lot of privilege to say that, but that space of reflection, it's not as scary to look behind the mirror if you can actually get a visual on the end goal of who you want. I love that you brought up the funeral thought because it's something that not a lot of people want to think about from a human perspective. Mortality is a scary place to go to, especially when you feel like you're doomed for it sooner rather than later. But
it's the only absolute that we all can bond over.
Right. But even if there's like another way to frame it, like just sitting down and taking an inventory of what is important to you and who do you want to be, and getting a good visual, even if you do have to pretend for a minute, sometimes those can be healthy things. Like, what does the idealized version of you look like? How does it show up? How does it move? How does it handle conflict? And I think that it's really important to take some time, if you get a minute, even just a minute or two before you lay down at night, and just, if I can start over tomorrow, how would the best version of me show up? How would it handle this? What would their habits look like? And what's one thing that I can start adding to my day? Even if it's just remembering that we are a part of like the human species and showing a little bit of love where some people obviously need it the most.
For me personally, the thing that I need to continue to work on in myself, and hopefully through the show, is to remember, like, there's outcome and then there's purpose. And like sometimes, because of, I think, the society we live in, like I'm very focused on the outcome. Well, not that I ever had any misconceptions, but like, what's the point of doing the podcast unless you can get 1 billion listeners, It's like, I do this show because it matters to me. Because not just, it doesn't just make me feel good. I know it matters to other people. And because this person over here might have the ability to go out on the front lines of, a pandemic, or go to Ukraine and help, or go give aid in Haiti. Like, I can't do those things, but I can do this. And I think that's an important thing, is like, the thing that I try to work on through my entire adult life is like focusing on not the waves, the little ripples. And maybe the butterfly effect will, kill a dinosaur. Well, thank you both for being here. Thank you for helping me kick off the season opener. And
thanks for coming back.
As a fan of the podcast, I have to say, I'm really excited that you're starting back into this, because there is so much incredible conversation that I've heard over the last year and a half of listening that has actually been really moving and opened some light into the things that I was experiencing, and having those conversations, especially when it comes to healthier versions of discourse. And I love the purpose behind what you're doing here. So thank you for including me even in just a little bit.
Oh, you guys know validation is my kink. Thank you so much. And thank you for tuning back in. And we have an amazing guest on our next episode, Dr. Amy Acton, who is running for governor of Ohio as of late 2025. And that's going to be an amazing episode. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
We just went there. Now you can go to thegoingtherepodcast.com for links to all the podcast platforms, our socials, and of course, YouTube. While you're at it, give us a rating, share with a friend, and subscribe.
This podcast is brought to you in part by its host and Frame One Media, in association with Kayleigh Williams, Joe Calley, and Bobby Thomas.